Now, there's some Christians who are like, well, that's just a load of rubbish, mate, because the thing is, war's wrong. Don't ever go to war. There's no such thing as a just war. Absolutist perspective, war is wrong, killing's wrong, don't go to war. Just war theory is relativist because it's saying war is sometimes necessary. Pacifists, they say, don't do it. Now, a way to think about pacifism, to remember this idea, is it's like a pacifier, like a baby's pacifier that you put in the baby's mouth. So the baby crying, going like, well, I'm crying. Put it in the mouth, and you stop the violence, yeah? So it's non-violent action. You're not slapping the baby or hitting the baby. You're pacifying the action that the baby has done. So that's the kind of idea that you should be looking at there. So this is the idea here. So let's look at pacifism in more detail. I think the best quotes, I think the classics here, turn the other cheek, and also all who draw the sword die by the sword. That's the key idea. Violence causes more violence. So if you want to stop violence, don't do violence. Martin Luther King's famous quote is, darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that. So you can't solve a problem by using violence. You've got to use love to solve your problems. And he himself did this through examples like the Montgomery bus boycott, which we'll look at in Prejudice and Discrimination. But a large part of his success was his use of not being violent. Also, you get examples of, in wars, you get what's called conscientious objectors. So some people will say, okay, we're in World War II. We've got to stop the Nazis. I understand there's some people killing. But I'm going to be a conscientious objector. I'm going to use my conscience to object to the action of war. And I'm not going to be involved in fighting. I might, for example, be a medical helper. I'll help out people who are injured and heal people who are injured. I'll make sure that I might be involved in anything that's not violent, but I'm not actually going to go out and kill. But there are other stricter pacifists. I mean, Quakers, for example, reject all forms of violence. And there's actually a Quaker declaration that says, we utterly deny all forms of war and strife. So that means that they believe that it's wrong for any individual to use any violence to even defend themselves. It is better to die than to use violence and kill. That would be the Quaker perspective. Particularly if you believe in something like heaven and hell, why would you care about killing? If you die because you chose not to use violence, that's totally fine. You just, God will reward you would be the idea. You're a martyr, so to speak. Others say that, okay, now, self-defense, that's got to be important, yeah? Self-defense is very important. So that's the time when it's okay. A classic objection to pacifism is that you can, at the end of the day, didn't Martin Luther King get assassinated? Didn't Gandhi get assassinated? Didn't all these pacifists actually end up dying? But the whole thing is that wasn't their concern. They achieved their goals through non-violent action and possibly were more effective by not being violent. And there's actually a quote from Gandhi. I'll just quickly search it up. Gandhi says, I believe it's there is no cause for which I am willing to die, for which I'm willing to kill. Yeah. So there is no cause. I am prepared to die. So this is what he says in his famous speech. He goes, I am prepared to die, but there is no cause for which I'm prepared to kill. I'm prepared to die, but there's no cause for which I'm prepared to kill. And what I'll put down there is a great clip from the movie Gandhi, and also a nice video animation, which shows Gandhi's pacifist argument, and you can use any quote from that as an example of pacifism. I know he's not a Muslim, I know he's not a Hindu, I know he's not a Christian, but Gandhi is a classic example of a strong pacifist argument, and you could definitely use it in your development of a pacifist paragraph that you might be writing. Maybe not your evidence, but it's definitely give you that A star if you develop a point using Gandhi there. There's no cause for which I'm prepared to die, but there's no cause for which I'm willing to kill. And he successfully managed to overturn the whole British government using pacifist techniques. I think he's quite an admirable man. So, you know, at the end of the day, the logic of pacifism is, you know, if you get punched in the face, you're eventually going to stop. Someone's going to stop punching as long as you show goodwill to those people. It's hard to believe that sometimes in Peckham, but it is actually true. I think generally all across the world, including Peckham, I think that's true. You know, if you're not violent, you know, you won't have violence happen to you.